and that's Sylvester Stallone and Rocky. Now,
Ayo.
Hey,
hey,
yo.
hey,
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 June.
hey. Sylvester Stallone and Rocky is like a troubled history, and he recently, I say recently, like last year, made pretty big headlines, I guess, because he was absolutely ripping apart the Rocky producer, Irwin Winkler, and all of basically posting memes of people, these producers killing him and stuff like this, like pretty bad, like brutal stuff. There's clearly a story behind that. And he comes out and says a lot about it because it looks like there's a Rocky prequel show in the works, which no, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that at all. I think that sounds terrible. But Nick, what do you think of a Rocky prequel series without Sylvester Stallone involved at all? Is an FYI.
For me, it's like making Solo with no Harrison Ford. Going back a prequel with somebody that's not Stallone. And the thing is, like, what are you gonna go back? I guess you're just gonna go back and just tell the story of him just coming up, and breaking people's legs and arms, for the
mob. Get that in Rocky a little bit though.
Yeah. So I mean, we kind of know his backstory on where he came. Of course, we don't know his parents. We never saw that. Maybe that could maybe be interesting. But yeah, exactly what you just said. I mean, is it really needed? So I just think this is just like them just trying to, squeeze any little bit of money they can still out of this Rocky franchise. And
Rocky was his origin, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Rocky was the origin. That was Rocky's origin. It was Rocky.
Yeah, exactly. So
like,
in
another movie.
Are we gonna get a younger Mickey? In it also. I just
you're a bum. Get the fuck out of my goddamn gym.
I'm just not feeling a prequel on this. Like, I think those movies are timeless and they should kind of be left alone. Sort of like, Indiana Jones should have ended with the third film, not done Crystal Skull, not do the one they're doing now. Like those first three are always going to be the trilogy, the Indiana Jones trilogy. And then as far as Rocky goes, I like what they did moving into the Creed series. I actually like those movies. I don't know how you guys felt about them, but I enjoyed them.
I only watched the first one. I didn't watch the other two. I know, maybe I've watched the second one.
I'd say Creed 2 is better, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I like the second Creed movie more than I like the first one.
It feels more like a Rocky movie. The first movie is just basically the Force Awakens of Rocky movies.
Yeah,
and then issues with Creed, but
then seeing him and Drago, meeting and talking to each other again for the first time since their big fight in Rocky IV. I just love that moment in that second movie. It was good, but yeah, I don't think this prequel series is needed. And if they did it, I mean, I'd probably check it out just because it's Rocky and I'm a huge Rocky fan. But it'd probably be a watch one time and forget kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following this for a while, and I've been really trying to get to the bottom of some of this beef between the Winkler family and Stallone, because there seems to be something deep rooted here. Because Stallone's not in Creed 3, and I have a bad feeling that they're going to kill Rocky off screen in between films, and if they do that, that's going to really piss a lot of people off. And he says in this recent interview that we're discussing here that the reason he's not part of Creed 3 is because they went to a dark place that he didn't think the franchise should go. And then on top of it all, they decided to go off and do this Creed or Drago spinoff without him any involvement with him. Same thing with this prequel without any involvement from him. And now here's what I've been trying to figure out. I don't know if because they signed the deal before this law was enacted or what, but there is a law that the sole creator of a property can go back. It's actually 35, but yeah, 30 or 35 years. And it's been well past that for Stallone. Why can't he go get Rocky? I don't understand. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I
And the
agree.
amount of stuff that he's been griping about how they're doing the character. Did he sign something at that time? Because he does say about how they took advantage of a young, naive, up and comer. And granted, he's gotten tens of $1 million out of the Rocky franchise. Some would argue hundreds of millions. He argues tens of millions. Is that really worth what he adds to this franchise, though? When you have the argument, and because I had this discussion with Robert Meyer Burnett the other night, and he was on the side of, he always has this famous saying, and I can't disagree with him in most cases, that you don't get what you deserve in Hollywood, you get what you negotiate for, right?
Yeah.
And Stallone knew what he was giving up at that time just so he could be Rocky. And that is a part of this deal, and I understand that. But at the same time, I brought up to Robert, I'm like, in most cases, I'd agree with you 100%. This is one of those cases where Stallone is Rocky. And without him,
you don't separate
you
the
can't
two, like
do
one
this.
and the same.
And not only that, Rocky deserves a send-off one way or another. If you're going to continue down the Creed road, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you've got to give Rocky some sort of, because the
closure.
fans deserve that. They need that closure.
Yeah.
And you can't do this in a way that you're killing him off screen, because that is a punch to the gut that not even Rocky could take.
Yeah.
Not to be punny about it, but yeah.
Well, like I want the last Rocky film with Stallone in it to end with showing his gravesite right next to his wife's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, in Creed, you had him win a battle with cancer. So how shitty would that be to kill him off screen in between?
Oh God,
Yeah.
people would be furious.
And then to top it off, like if you're going to do a Drago spinoff, it makes sense to have Drago working with Sylvester Stallone's Rocky to deprogram his son and retrain him as a fighter and give him a story. That works then.
Yeah.
That gives you a reason to get rid of Stallone in the Creed side of things. Fine, go do your own thing, Michael B. Jordan. And that's what I don't understand either. And I see where Stallone's coming from on this, is like, they're leaving me out of this completely, and I am Rocky, right? It's like, I don't think he's asking for too much.
Well, no, so this is what, like, we'll just go into a bit of this interview, right? Because and then we'll touch on the prequel stuff. So the Hollywood Reporter asks him, you made more headlines with your Instagram post in July asking Rocky producer Irwin Winkler to give you some of the rights to the character you created. Has there been any movement on that? No, it's never going to happen. It was a deal that was done unbeknownst to me by people that I thought were close to me, and they basically gave away whatever rights I would have had. At the time, I was so excited to be working, and I didn't understand this as a business. Who knew Rocky would go on for another 45 years? I've never used one line of dialogue from anyone else. And the irony is that I don't own any of it. The people who have done literally nothing control it. So it seems like his agents negotiated the deal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if something somewhere along the lines, either it predated that loss so it didn't fall under the purview, or whatever, at whatever point he would have been able to get those, somebody within his, fucked him over and signed away those rights for, a couple $1 million. And he got fucked over or something.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
it's almost like he had a real life Paulie from Rocky 5
pretty
in his
much.
life.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. He was raging. So the interviewer goes, I read 600 pages of your past interviews to prepare for this, and I've never heard you sound as angry as you were in that Instagram post. What triggered that? I mean, this is the thing. We've never seen him do stuff like that. Like, he literally
Sylvester Stallone is one of the most professional actors out there, right? Like, he knows how to play the game. He was one of the top stars of the 1980s for a reason. Yeah. And he's continued to know how to play that game regardless of his stature. And he's complete, and that's what this interview is a lot about, is he kind of brings up the fact that he's aware that his stature in Hollywood's not anything near where it was. He had an ego at one time, and that got the better of him. And clearly, like he says here, he had the wrong people around him. He got fucked over because he doesn't have nearly the money he should right now of where he's at, considering the amount of money his movies made. But yeah, like, that's one thing, is he's never been unprofessional enough to really go after anybody that often. The last time I heard him go after anybody like this was Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And that was in the height of everybody kind of calling Bruce Willis out on his shit. And he basically said it's because Bruce wanted to come in for 1 day of work, not even a full day of work, mind you, only a couple hours of work on Expendables. I think it was 3, and he wanted like $1 million for that, and he called him greedy and lazy.
It's fair enough, to be honest.
And recasted him with
Wow.
Harrison Ford.
Jesus. So yeah, so to respond to why he got so angry, they wanted another Rocky, and I was willing to do it. But I said, after 45 years, can we change the playing field a bit? Level it out. Can't I get a piece of what I created all these years ago? And then it's obviously asked, you wanted this to apply retroactively to the other movies. Obviously, can I get some back pay was what the Hollywood Reporter was thinking he was asking. And he's like, no, just from now on. I didn't expect to get, forget that. The producers still get a piece. I don't want anyone to control it. If I write it and the studio agrees to do it, it's done. You can't make a Rocky sequel just because you want your children to have a job, or if you don't get more money that you can block it. The other producer, Bob Chartoff, was always very nice. Irwin Winkler was just the opposite.
Yeah, and I think there's something he's saying there with the block it part too, because if you guys remember, he was talking about an idea of doing another Rocky movie after the success of Creed. So I think he presented an idea for another Rocky film, and they turned him down. You also got to remember, he didn't make shit off of Rocky Balboa. Like nobody believed in him when he made that movie, and he got nominated and shit for that. Again, like people forget like how big a deal that was when it came out. Rocky Balboa,
that was huge, massive,
and that's why we're doing this shit now. And he's not wrong. Everything he has written every line of a Rocky film. He's directed 90% of them. He is Rocky. I mean, how much more do you have to do to be a part of this franchise?
Well, this is a really sad part of the interview, and it makes me sad, like to hear, just to see this and his wording, right? Like, it is sad. So he's asked, there was also a Drago spin-off referenced in your post, and you called it Dolph Lundgren, and you called out Dolph Lundgren for not telling you about it. Have you two patched things up since then? Yeah, we did. I'm actually calling him today because he underwent some ankle situation. The Dolph thing, again, this is a classic case of them going around and trying to continually cherry pick aspects of Rocky without even asking me if I want to join in. I'm not an executive producer on the Creed movies. Ryan Coogler is. Michael B. Jordan is. Winkler and Chartoff's children are. Not mine. I'm the only one left out.
That's kind of jacked up right there. That they're leaving.
It's a bit shit. Like,
yeah, super shitty move. But I am glad to hear. I really like the first part of that him and Dolph Lundgren patched things up, and I was glad to hear that part of it.
Yeah, that's the good bit. But then he's asked, is it going to be weird for you to see Creed 3 without being in the film? And this is where we learn that obviously he very well could have been in the film. Because he responds and goes, that's a regretful situation because I know what it could have been. So there was a film with him in it at one point. It was taken in a direction that is quite different than I would have taken it. It's a different philosophy. Irwin Winkler's and Michael B. Jordan's, I wish them well, but I'm much more of a sentimentalist. I like my heroes getting beat up, but I just don't want them going into that dark space. I just feel people have enough darkness. He's not fucking wrong, is he?
No.
Like, we see enough of that all the bloody time. Like, give us an earnest hero, like.
Yeah. Like for the whole family, not something that, it's like, all right, you got to be at least this age to go see this film. Because all the Rocky films have pretty much been family films since the beginning, pretty much. But, yeah, it's that makes me almost not even want to go see Creed 3 now after hearing that.
Oh, I'm full on boycotting it because I have a feeling of what's happening, and even if it doesn't, I don't care.
Yeah,
like the whole thing.
I'm kind of in that same boat with you now, Tom. Just after hearing all this.
Yeah, because I've been following it for a while, and that's my big question. That's the closest I've gotten to an answer. Is that like what the hell happened with the rights that he can't do anything? That his hands seem to be tied, because it's very clearly written in that law. If you are the sole creator and it wasn't a work for hire thing, which we know for a fact Rocky wasn't. He had several drafts before he sold this version, and he gave up a lot of rights to be in the movie. But this would have come later down the road. So it sounds like to me, maybe when this came up, probably around the time he did Rocky Balboa, maybe to get that made, he unbeknownst to him signed away his ability to go back and get those rights. I don't know.
How good of a feeling do you think Stallone's going to have if Creed 3 just bombs? And him not being in it is a part of it. He's just going to sit back and be like, yeah.
Sadly, the general audience doesn't pay attention to the shit like we do.
Yeah.
The only thing it has
people
going,
now. Well, sorry, I was going to say
the only thing it has going for it, Sly's not in it, but yeah.
I was going to say people think that Creed is now. I mean, it is like a separate franchise altogether now, isn't it? That's kind of what they're pushing it for, which makes it makes me reluctant to. I mean, I only watched the first one. I think I watched the second one, but I can't be too sure. It doesn't make me exactly want to go watch it. That's for sure. What a shame. What a shame. Like he's a legend, an absolute legend, and
he's not.
And
he's not going to be around forever.
No.
He's definitely getting up there in age.
But he did that Samaritan film for MGM, which then got released on Prime.
And I liked it quite a bit.
I really liked it. I thought it was good.
I did, actually.
I'm unashamed. I didn't give a fuck if anyone didn't like it. I liked that film. I thought it was a good film.
Yeah.
It was a nice throwback.
I haven't seen it.
It's so good. Like,
it's predictable, but it's like it feels like an old throwback 90s movie. It felt so like refreshing to see it because it's like it didn't give a fuck about trying to hit any kind of demographical diversity quotient or be woke or any of that kind of business. Message. It's just a straightforward superhero movie.
Yeah, that's the movie where he's like the retired superhero, right?
Yeah. And like I said, it gets kind of predictable, but you don't care because it's so satisfying. Yeah. It's a very well done classic Stallone picture. Yeah.
Is that that's on a streaming service, isn't it?
It's on Amazon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll add that to my list.
It feels like a movie that Sly could have made in the 90s.
Yeah, absolutely. And the de-age stuff was great as well. Like, no, it's not a spoiler. Yeah, some de-age stuff, and I thought that was really good as well. That sort of took me back to almost Demolition Man-esque. It looked a bit like that, you know?
Yeah, around that era, probably.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought we'd just sort of end on Stallone there. Bit of a somber ending, but good nonetheless.